Well, you done me. You bet I liked it. Tried to be chill, but you so hot I melted. And I fell right through the cracks. And I'm trying to get back before my cuckoo done run out. I'll be giving it my best. And nothing gonna stop me but divine intervention. I reckon again, it's my turn to win some and learn some. And I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. Oh, I'm you. Oh, oh. Open up your eyes and see like me. Open up your plans and I'm your free. Look into your heart and you find love, 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 love. Listen to the music of the moment, people dancing and singing. We're one big family, and it's a good forsaken right to be loved, love, love, love. And I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait, I'm yours. And there is no need to complicate. This is our time, this is our fate. I am yours. I've been spending way too much time checking my tongue in the mirror, bending over backward just to sit clearer. And my breath fogged up the glass, and I drew a new face and I laughed. I guess what I'm saying is that there is no better reason to rid yourself for vanity and just go with the season. And that's what we aim to do. Our name is a virtue, and I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I am yours, and there is no need to complicate. This is a time, this is a fate. I am yours. Well, open up your mind and see like me. Open up your plan and you I'm your free. Look into your heart and you find that sky is yours. So please don't, so please don't. This is our fate. I'm yours. Jason Mraz with that beautiful song. I hope I try. Would you scoot on? Would you come on? Scoot over, dear. I'll nimble your ear. Mraz, beautiful song. Now, after music, you always know that we go into something kind of tense and kind of involved. Today, I have taken two giants. Those people who know Hegel, you know, in his book Phenomenology of the Spirit or Phenomenology of the Mind, he is the guru of Western philosophy. He used phenomenology, hermeneutics, and contradiction and dialectics to arrive at how consciousness is acquired by a human being. Now, in the climate that we are in, it is very, very important for us to look into the people who make up the Western civilization and the way it is, and the way especially it treats minorities, especially people from Africa and Africans in the diaspora. With the movements like Black Lives Matter, it is important to go back and look at the philosophy behind the behavior, the character, the culture of the Western civilization towards the African Americans and the Africans in particular. Philosophers contributed a lot because as they write about how humans acquire knowledge, which is actually a biological aspect, it has nothing to do with color, it has nothing to do from where you come from. It's like you see a tree has green leaves, for example. And that's John Seeley in his book about consciousness. And a tree does photosynthesis. These are green trees all over the world. And they take in carbon dioxide and they take out oxygen. Now, you know how that is important to human beings. Because if the trees take carbon dioxide, which is dangerous to human beings, you can see how important they are. But I'm telling you, consciousness is simply a biological activity given to all humans, the formation of consciousness. So Hegel used a very detailed technique of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. And there were arguments between the inner self and the outer self. And he starts with actually a very detailed account of how consciousness is achieved. And detailed in such a way that you got to give him credit. But in a real sense, there is nothing original in what he says. You know, it is important for us to know that there is nothing really new he says. The only thing he does is that he comes up with phrases and with words, some borrowed from a classical philosophy of Aristotle. And for you who are not familiar, might be with Aristotle, they will know, but it's good for you to know that Aristotle, as a philosopher, he glorified slavery. And he sees slavery having a role in society and nothing wrong with it. So most of the things that have happened in the West, they draw strength from the world of philosophy. So as we castigate the law enforcement on mistreating the African Americans, especially in America, we must not forget to go and dig deep into this huge images, huge literature of philosophy that make up the mindset, the state of mind of the Western folks. Because these things don't just come from nowhere and get into somebody's head and they become big ideas that I'm more important than these people. There has to be a base. And the base of that supremacy comes from a phrase like Hegel uses in his book, Phenomenology of Spirit, in that the German consciousness was special. And that's why it was able to formulate the kind of analysis that he has put down there. Now, that is interesting because that's what I'm telling you now. That's where the bias starts. Otherwise, the work is detailed, but there is nothing new about it because Hegel and Asante praises the normal, the oral tradition of passing knowledge in the indigenous people. And we must be very, very careful not to belittle the role of oral tradition and acquisition of knowledge. They are tied together. They are like twins. You can never praise one and leave the other one. Because memory, they have come to prove it, that it is more important than IQ. And there is a book by a great scholar called Forer, F-R-O-E-R. He has written a very, very good book about the role of memory and what we know. He gives memory a very big credit in what we know. Now, taking that into account, you will see that oral tradition, let's say in the Kikuyu people in Kenya, and the Hawaiians, the Kanaka Maoli, they gave reverence to memory and oral tradition. All their knowledge was parceled in songs, rituals, weddings, parties, religious ceremonies. And all this was memorized songs like hula in Hawaii. It is a source of huge archives of knowledge. There's huge amounts of knowledge preserved in the hula dances, hula kahiko, and all forms of hula. In the Gikuyu tradition, ndumo, mushongwa, mudherego, ndumo. All this, and they kept a lot of oral history and oral traditions. So the consciousness of the indigenous people was basically built up of oral traditions, and it depended on memory. So all the values of an individual were actually as well formed as those of the Germans that Hegel credits with a unique consciousness. That's not true. It's like trying to tell us there is a tree and it is, let's say, all trees process their food and everything they need for nutrition through photosynthesis. So you can never tell us, unless a plant is, there are plants like, for example, nocturnal. We can't refuse, just unique one, and that's a mutation. But photosynthesis happens in a certain way. It is a certain formula. And it's all endowed onto all plants that are green. And that's like consciousness. So there is nothing like, for example, you have a specially built consciousness because you come from Germany or Norway, and somebody who comes from Papakolea in Hawaii doesn't have that kind of consciousness because it's special for, I don't want to sound racial, but for Gothic people, Germans and Anglo-Saxons. No. So what I'm saying, and this is like an introduction, I have a paper I have put, it's a detailed account of this discussion that I'm doing, in that although you read these huge volumes of writings about philosophy and the acquisition of consciousness, just because they are written by a German, it does not make them uniquely that consciousness is Germanic and it only endowed to the Germans. No. He's discussing like photosynthesis, which is a universal law. And even Hegel himself credits universal law so much that some things in organs happen exactly the same in species. Like, for example, the kidney. It's like a machine to purify bad blood in human body. And that is international. A kidney just does that biological work. It doesn't matter your color is black or your color is white. Your kidney performs work exactly the same. And when they malfunction, in most cases they malfunction the same way. So it is very, very important for us to kind of clarify these points, which actually people have used them to label others. That the consciousness of the African Americans is not made up, or it does not acquire knowledge the same way the Norwegians acquire knowledge. And that's kind of wrong because it's kind of a misconception. So take somebody like Martin Heidegger. He says, like when you're going to open a door, you're going to your office. Because Martin Heidegger somehow does not respect that all we do it because of consciousness, the way Hegel says. We are conscious of everything we are going to do. It has to be in our conscious, arranged systematically, in a scheme. No. We are very random, very transparent. And what we do is that we cope with the environment. And in most cases, we are not actually thinking, oh, when we reach our office, I'm gonna open that door, I'm gonna turn the key, I'm gonna turn the knob, I'm gonna push the door. No, you are thinking about how you're gonna be, buying some things from the supermarket. You might be wondering how you're gonna pay the school fees for your son who is in college as you walk towards your office. So in a real sense, a human being, though conscious, he doesn't actually do things like a robot, that he's thinking about it as he's doing it. No. There's somebody, like a good example that Martin Heidegger gives. A carpenter would be hammering, putting in nails in a building that he's putting up. But at the same time, he's completely thinking about the future of his retirement. He's not actually looking at the nail and saying, now I'm going to nail it in. I'm nailing the nail. No. A human being is out in the environment, coping with he's part of the environment. Now that is common. It's inborn. Whether you're talking about an indigenous person in Australia, an indigenous person in Madras or Gujarat, or a Kenyan guy in Old Town, Juakale. That is how they cope with the environment. There is nothing about others. Excuse me. There's no about that the consciousness of people in Mjuakale, in Mombasa, are different from those people in Copenhagen. They cope, they exist. Existentialism, the aspect of trying to survive with so many challenges. And that's what human beings everywhere do. So it is very, very important as we try to discuss the problems of law enforcement, Black Lives Matter, and this kind of problem that we have in our midst, which are man-made. They're not biological. It is good to go back also and schools to correct things which are wrong. Like glorifying the conquistadors when they write term papers. That should be minimized, because conquistadors, they're not heroes to be praised. Actually, conquistadors can be tried in international court for human race abuse if it was today. So actually, basically also what we are suffering right now is the school systems kind of have got to change the way they look at education. And I'm going to stop there because we're going to continue and you can read the piece I've written. I just wanted to cover that in a nutshell, just very general. It's like an intro for a doctorate paper. So you can read what I have put on online. It is called Hegel and Asante. Thank you. Ciao, ciao.